All right, Rube, ready for Phoenix?
Let's go.
What a game! Not exactly the tight game we were anticipating there.
No, I think we should drive. I think we should do podcasts, drive out to Arizona, do podcasts along the way, see America. We can leave tomorrow morning.
I don't want to do that.
We can listen to my music the whole way.
I definitely don't want to do that. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, and we told you all week it would not be like the last NFC Championship game, and we kind of lied. It was a party for most of that game. Really fun atmosphere. Eagles got it done.
Yeah, it was a weird game. In a way, you're disappointed. Purdy got hurt. You know, you'd like to beat them at their best, but you'll take it. Kind of, you know, nobody felt sorry for the Eagles when their starting quarterback got hurt 3 years ago in that wild card game against the Seahawks, and Josh McCown came in.
Mm-hmm.
So you do what you have to do. You win and you move on. And it was not as I expected. The Eagles played great and did what they had to do. They ran the ball great. They were tremendous on defense. They got takeaways. They protected the ball. And, you know, look, Jalen's obviously not 100%. I don't even know how close he is, but he managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over. He made a couple throws, converted a couple third downs, and handed off 38 times in the last three quarters, or in the second half. Was it 38? But, 38 in the last three quarters. This was not how I expected it to go, but that's what we love about football. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know. It was a fun game. Obviously, you know, once they got a lead, and you know, Purdy was hurt. It was pretty much over. The Eagles did what they needed to do to advance. They ended up winning 31-7. We waited a little bit to do this pod to watch the end of the AFC game. We know the Chiefs won that one 23-20. So Eagles Chiefs in Super Bowl 57.
Yeah, not like there's any intrigue there. I mean, Kelsey versus Kelsey, Andy Reid versus the team he coached for 14 years. Brett Veach versus Howie Roseman, a guy that he learned under. There's so many angles. It's gonna be a fun couple weeks out there, or a fun week out there, a fun couple weeks period. I mean, you couldn't have drawn up a better matchup. That offense and that quarterback, and he's not healthy either.
Yeah, I think this extra week will help both quarterbacks get healthy before the big game.
Yeah, I'm not sure either one's going to be healthy until next year, really. I mean,
healthier, I should say then.
What's that?
It'll help them get healthier.
Healthier, yeah. But, you know, we'll have 2 weeks to break down that matchup. But, you know, this one was, it was kind of like carbon copy of the Giants game, which is about the last thing I expected in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was it's funny because in a lot of ways it also felt like the last championship game here, because it was tight early and then the Eagles broke it open, never looked back. I mean, by the second half, people were dancing and it felt like that. I mean, this one got chippy though at the end.
A little bit.
A little chippy. 49ers, some poor sportsmanship out of them.
Yeah. Trent Williams picking on Kayvon Wallace, who's got about 150 pounds on.
You know what's funny? So Kayvon obviously got ejected. He has to go to the locker room. He came back out for the celebration in full. He was still fully dressed. He had put a big giant chain around his neck, and he walked back out the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought through the whole game, the 49ers they weren't very disciplined. There was, you know, whether it was roughing the punter, they had a face mask that on Boston Scott that just there was no reason for. He was running out of bounds. A couple personal fouls. There was a late hit on Jalen that was just stupid. Mm-hmm. They really were a very undisciplined team, and you could see they were just getting more and more frustrated. And I think for the most part, the Eagles didn't fall into that trap. And it's easy to do that when the team is frustrated. I think the Eagles kind of might have surprised them with their physicality. The Niners pride themselves on being the most physical team, and the Eagles kept hitting them in the mouth.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Tennessee game a little bit. You know, they had heard about, this is physical team, and the Eagles took that personally. And we heard that a lot about this 49ers team coming into the game. But the Eagles were the better team the entire year. And I think as silly as it is for them to like feel the disrespect, I think they did feel it a little bit, or at least they talked themselves into feeling it, which if it works, it works.
Sure. I got to remind you, when we were walking from this building over to the stadium across the street, remember what that guy in the parking lot said?
31-3. He was pretty close.
Yeah, a guy yells over, "Hey, Rube, 31-3. Yeah, he was off by 4 points.
Not bad. 38-7 was in play. I wondered if we'd see it.
Yeah. Some amazing. I mean, look, they beat Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson. Brock Purdy, who couldn't throw, but the first time the Eagles have held back-to-back teams to 7 points or less in the postseason since the 48 and 49 NFL championship games, which were both shutouts. You don't have a lot of games like this in the postseason, especially against a team like the Niners that came in, hadn't lost since October to the Chiefs. October 23rd is the last time they lost a football game. So, man, they're just really good. This is a really talented, well-coached team that can win in so many different ways. If the passing game – and I thought Shane – I'll tell you what. I've been raving about Shane Steichen all year, but I thought they had those 3 straight 3-and-outs or 3 straight possessions that they were trying to throw. There was a lot of pressure on Jalen. He didn't look comfortable in the pocket. And look, they're very quick. They close ground very, very quickly. And the passing offense just wasn't working. And Shane just started running it. And I'm like, you can't run on this team. And they did. And they didn't get giant, huge, chunks of yards, but they moved the chains. I think that settled them down. And, once Purdy got hurt and they started running the game, running the ball, I mean, it was over. And they ended up running 44 times.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense once they got up big and they knew the other quarterback couldn't throw the football. I mean, the 49ers were helping them wind the clock too because they had to keep running the ball.
Right.
Even when they were down big. So it was
Neither
just –
team wanted to throw the ball for completely opposite reasons.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Eagles had 88 rushing attempts in 2 games. How about this stat, David? Well, let me see if I can find this one. In the two games against the Giants and the Niners, the Eagles running backs have 380 scrimmage yards, and the receivers have 151.
Wow.
They have 200 more. They've really carried this team, and it's been all 3 of them. I mean, it's been Miles, it's been Gainwell, it's been Boston.
Kenny Gainwell. I mean,
he was huge tonight.
This is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, not that he didn't do anything all year, but it was such a weird role for him all year, like up and down in terms of production. He gets in the playoffs, and he's been great.
Yeah, and I think there was a point today where he had – I could look it up. He had like nothing – they couldn't get anything going, and then he just popped like a 17-yard run, and it just seemed like, we're in business. He's really good, and I think they're starting to understand how good he is. He caught the ball. He had a nice 17-yard catch and run. And he's a physical player. He's not a big guy. We'll have an entire offseason to talk about how the backs are going to line up next year and who's going to be here. But I've just been so impressed with him, not just his ability, his speed, his toughness, but that ability to make big plays at big moments when the team really needs him. And, he's still not the guy, but he kind of is the the guy right now, I think.
Kind of weirdly. Yeah. Miles was fine today.
Yeah.
But Kenny's given them an extra little boost.
Yeah.
It's time to give Nick Sirianni his flowers here. See what I did there?
Yeah.
He deserves it.
They've grown. We planted him a couple years ago.
Yeah. I mean, the job he's done this year, it's really impressive. It really is. I mean, they were the better coach team today. And that's a team they were playing who has one of the best offensive minds in football, a guy in D'Amico Ryans who's going to be a head coach next year. They outcoached them today.
Might be a head coach tomorrow.
Yeah.
I thought, it's funny. We talked about game day coaching during the week. And there was one sequence where Nick challenged the fumble, the Purdy when he got hit by Reddick, which I thought the ball was clear. I thought it was clearly not a pass. And they reversed it. And it was a great challenge. And then the Devontae catch, the Niners didn't challenge.
And the Eagles wisely got up to the ball, snapped it.
Devontae did the little sign to let's run a play real quick. That's coaching.
Yeah.
That's game day coaching. And you saw it right there.
We saw that aggressiveness with that fourth down call early in the game, which at the time I was like, I don't know about this.
I said the same thing. But Nick, one thing about Nick, he's coaching this exact same way now as he does during the season. And you have to do that to have success. Nick Sirianni is in the Super Bowl. And the last two coaches that Jeff Lurie hired have made the Super Bowl in their second year.
Yeah, we were talking to Jeffrey Lurie after the game a little bit about, the way they go through it. And he said, for whatever reason, like the guys they've hired haven't been popular picks. But he said, it's not about doing what people think is right. It's about doing what we know is right. And they've nailed these. I mean, they've absolutely nailed them. And he didn't want to give away everything in terms of what they do as a franchise, but the results are insane. I mean, every coach they hire has success.
Yeah, and Chip didn't start, Chip didn't start failing until he was GM. His failure was as GM and making the power play. But I mean, he had 2 10-win seasons. Before that, now 9-3, became 10-6. That was disappointing. But he was coach of the year his first year. So three of the last 4 coaches he's hired have made a Super Bowl. And, and the other 2 were coach of the year. Ray Rhodes was coach of the year in 95, his first year. That team beat the Lions in a wild card game with no talent. He's got the magic touch. Yeah, and maybe he won't have to do it again for a little bit. We'll see. I don't think this is going to go bad like the last one did.
You never know, but if it goes bad after they get a ring on their finger, no one will really care. That's the Nick will be a hero here forever if they get it done.
Yeah, he's a game away. He might be one now. I mean, he's done a fantastic job in so many ways. I think the focus this team has had. I keep smacking that thing behind me. The focus this team has had on, and I don't know how many times we've heard Nick talk about, the next meeting, the next rep, the next film set, whatever. They really buy into it. I mean, I'd never heard one guy in the locker room talk Super Bowl, 14 wins. Nobody ever looks ahead. They're so focused, and they just buy into that. Focus on the moment and just try to improve in that moment, and don't worry about what happened in the past. Don't worry about the future. Just focus on what you're doing now and get better. And it sounds simple. Sometimes it sounds stupid. He says it every week, but these guys buy into it and they believe it, and it works.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Give them so much credit. I guess we should start breaking down this actual game. Yeah. There's not a ton to break down, honestly, because it was over pretty quick. But I mean, you remember that Christian McCaffrey run tied it at 7-7. Awful tackling.
Bad tackling
on that run.
Although I thought they tackled really well after that.
They did. It was really like one awful play in this game, and that just wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That was I wrote down the name of everyone who missed a tackle on that play. I think it was Epps missed one.
CJ came in. Yeah. Slay, I think, was in that.
Yeah, Slay was. Yeah, he was just out of the play. But I don't know. Where do you want to start? Defensively, offensively?
Let's start on offense.
Yeah,
because the numbers aren't crazy. But let's start with that Devontae catch. What a moment! I mean, what an absolute moment. We've seen him make these catches before, but the magnitude of this game we talk about like big game players.
Right.
This is a dude who we saw his freshman year. I mean, he is a big game player, and he showed up.
Yeah.
Final numbers 2 for 36, but that 29-yard catch was enormous.
Yeah, even though it wasn't a catch, but it was a catch.
It was a catch.
It was a catch. It's a catch now.
I thought it was a catch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I hate the super slow-mo break it down frame by frame. It kind of hits the ground. It was a catch. He caught it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to watch it. I don't have to watch it again, but whether it was or not, it was an incredible play by him. He's got such great body control and athleticism and hands. That was something.
The first pass of the game going to AJ Brown would have bet the world on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit in 2 weeks, but they haven't had to the last 2 weeks, and that's fine. I just really like the concept of the three-headed monster. Let's see, Gainwell had 14 carries and 2 catches. Miles had 11 carries and 1 catch. Boston had 6 carries. This is Buckhalter, Deuce, and Westbrook all over again. 4 rushing touchdowns against a team that allowed 3 in their last 9 games.
That offensive line.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And that's why you feel like going into any game.
Yeah.
It's trench play. And we'll get to the defense later because that defensive line was incredible. But this offensive line, and we'll find out about what went on with Landon Dickerson. We don't have any answers on that yet.
Right.
But, gosh, they're good. I mean, with this offensive line, they can beat any team on any given day.
I agree. And we'll talk about the D-line, but I really believe they have the best O-line and the best D-line right now in the league.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's funny because I wrote about it this week. It's like the trenches, they've been so upfront about this for decades.
Upfront.
Yeah. See what I did? I didn't mean to do that. But they talk about it all the time. In this league where it's all like everyone tries to hide everything from everyone else, they tell you. Every time they talk about team building, they tell you we're building in the trenches. That's the way to build a consistent winner. And for whatever reason, they do it better than everyone else.
And where does that come from? Andy Reid.
They can thank him in person next in a couple weeks.
He kind of started that, and he instilled it in Howie, and Howie, believes it. And 3 of their best linemen, Fletcher and BG and Kelsey, are Andy Reid guys. It's incredible the impact he made on this franchise and still does. I mean, without those 3 guys, it's not a Super Bowl team. And so I thought the O-line was incredible. They love running the ball. They love that challenge. You're not supposed to be able to run against the Niners, and they just don't care.
That's the thing. It's like, and we've seen this time and time again. Like we saw it. Remember the Saints game last year?
Yeah.
You can't run against the Saints.
Yeah.
You can't do it. But this team can run against anybody.
Yeah.
And the final numbers aren't like gaudy. They didn't.
No.
What do they average?
Well, 3.6 before the kneel downs.
Sure. But I mean, that's obviously not great.
And 150. But it's in a game like this, it's good enough.
Yeah.
And
especially when at the end of the game, like they're running the ball. And it was like run, throw for a first down, keep the sticks moving.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about Jalen's game today. His numbers are hardly gaudy, but when he had to convert a 3rd and 5, he did. He made some nice throws, and he didn't make any mistakes. And in a game like this, that's like the most important thing against that team.
Yeah, we had talked about it all week, right? Like, whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game. And maybe this game wouldn't have mattered because they didn't have a quarterback who could throw the ball later. But, we knew that coming in.
People might rip on Jalen because his numbers weren't fancy. But first of all, he's not healthy. Second of all, they won by 24 points.
And that is the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be pretty. Like, it's the stats aren't going to be pretty. Who the heck cares?
Who cares? It's win and move on, and that's all that matters.
And they spanked him.
And he didn't need to do more. And that's what I like about Jalen. He does exactly what he has to do when he has to do it.
And he could not possibly care any less that he threw for 121
Well, he was
yards.
disappointed about his yards per completion ratio.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm told.
Yeah.
He couldn't care less. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I've covered quarterbacks that run off the field and ask me what their passer rating was. I'm not going to say who, but you can probably figure it out. Back when we were allowed on the field at the end of games. But yeah, it's exactly what you want from your quarterback. In a game like this, I mean, the Niners, and they got desperate. I mean, they were kind of living on the edge there. They were hitting late. Mm-hmm. They were doing everything they could to get the ball back. They were coming after Jalen, and
Dre Greenlaw was just punching like a madman.
I think Gainwell had the ball there, right? That was a Gainwell play, I think.
Gainwell or Boston.
Yeah, I think it was Gainwell, but I'm not exactly sure why that's a penalty because you're punching at the ball.
That was excessive.
I guess it was excessive.
He was throwing haymakers at the football.
And that's another lack of discipline by them. But I'm just curious what the rule is because you're allowed to punch at the ball. I don't know if the whistle hasn't blown. Looked like his forward progress had been stopped.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought, and one thing about Shane Steichen, and if the running game is working, he doesn't care. He'll just keep dialing it up.
Yeah.
And why not? I mean, 4 touchdowns against. I mean, that team has allowed 3 in their winning streak.
Yeah, they're the only team all year to have 4 rushing touchdowns against them.
Yeah.
The Chiefs had 3. There wasn't another team with 2 rushing touchdowns against them all year.
Right. And get this. See if I can find this.
I shouldn't have done this.
They had 3 rushing touchdowns against the Giants. They're the first team. They're only the 4th team in history with 3 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back postseason games.
Wow.
And that includes the 73 Dolphins, 2013 Niners, and the Patriots in 18. Teams don't play like this. And they don't have an O-line like this and backs like this.
And they don't have Jalen Hurts. Because even though his final numbers on the ground were 11 for 39.
Yeah.
Him being on the field matters.
Absolutely.
It just matters. And we saw the read option stuff didn't really get cooking like it did against the Giants, but the threat of that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt.
It was tough in this game because those linebackers are so fast.
Yeah, they really are. I've never seen a game. They had 4 guys all average under 4 yards a carry, and you felt like they ran the ball really well.
Yeah.
Because they just were physical. They had the ball for 37-26.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I think the Giants game was 35-43. So they've been on the field. Their offense has been on the field 26 minutes longer than their opponents in the 2 games.
That third quarter touchdown, that drive, 15 plays, 91 minutes, 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
91 minutes?
91 yards. 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
You remember what I said on the last podcast? I was talking about big plays. I was like, you're not going to drive 75 yards and 15 plays against them. Well, they had 2. They had a 14-play touchdown drive and a 15-play touchdown drive.
I mean, that is just like a boa constricting around its prey. That's what it was. They couldn't stop it.
Bring Larry Boa into this. It's funny that on the pregame show we were talking about red zone. The Niners are not great in the red zone, and they sure weren't great today. Yeah. D'Amico might be – look, I love D'Amico. I don't want to talk bad about him. And it was a tough situation because they didn't have a quarterback, but he was not the best defensive coordinator in the game.
That's true.
Yeah.
He did get that job over Gannon, though.
He did.
Which we'll talk about.
And he'll do well. I mean,
I think he will. I think he'll be very good. Anything else on offense do you want to hit?
No.
We hit the offensive line. Some of those downfield blocks. Kelsey is
at the top of his game.
He's unbelievable. He's 34. I mean, it makes no sense, the things he's doing right now.
Yeah, he's playing at an elite level. I mean, he always does, but it just seems like he's raised his game this year.
Yeah.
Which
it's unbelievable.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, flip to defense.
Sure.
The defensive player of the year was on the field.
And it wasn't Nick Bosa.
Yeah. I mean, Hassan Reddick was the best player on the field tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And, but I saw Bosa got hurt and came back. But, man, he's having a postseason.
3.5 sacks in 2 games.
Which is the most by any Eagle in any single postseason, as you are nodding your head. You already looked that up.
Yeah.
He's only 1 sack behind the franchise career record, which is 4.5 by Brandon Graham.
It's unbelievable.
But it's not just the sack. I mean, just the hustle on that fumble, the Josh Johnson, the bad snap. Man, he's relentless. And the Niners, they'll talk. The Niners fans will talk about, well, we didn't have our quarterback. Well, the reason is Hassan Reddick has beat your tight end on that play, I think, but beat your guy so bad that he got to the quarterback before he could throw the ball. So, I mean, I feel bad that the kid got hurt. You never want to see that, but that's part of football when you don't block a guy. And man, he's
getting clean hits on a quarterback is part of the game.
Yeah. He's so good.
Unbelievable.
He has 19.5 sacks now.
More than Nick Bosa in the same amount of games.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa has 18.5. No sacks in the playoffs for Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shut out in 3 games.
I saw that. And
Hey, look, he's a great player.
He is.
Great player.
He's no Hassan Reddick. How good has he been?
Hassan Reddick, underpaid. 3
Quite
years,
possibly.
$45 million, way underpaid.
Yeah. He's going to hold out next year. I'm told. No, he's the best pass rusher the Eagles have had since Reggie White. And Trent Cole was really, really good. They've had some really good ones. Hugh Douglas, William Fuller. But, I mean, he's just relentless, and he produces. He doesn't just get close, man. He finishes the deal.
Finishes. Big plays. Explosive big plays.
Forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, tackles for loss, big hits. Man, who's their best player? Is it Lane? Is it Kelsey? Is it Jalen? You make a case for Hassan Reddick.
You can certainly make that case. Special shout out to Linval Joseph. Smart veteran move. That ball's on the ground. He thinks, maybe that wasn't an incomplete pass. Scoops it up. Clear recovery. I mean, that's a huge play by Linval.
It was.
Heads up, man.
If he doesn't pick the ball up, even if they rule it was a fumble, the Eagles don't get the ball back.
Yeah.
You like having those guys around. And they drill that. I mean, they tell these guys, and you see it in practice and training camp whenever there's a ball on the ground, even if it's clear it wasn't a fumble, somebody picks it up and they run it back and just get in the habit of doing that.
Yeah. And the other new guy on that line, Ndamukong Suh, big game for him.
Yeah. 2
QB hits, knocked Johnson out of the game.
Yeah, which when it happened, I thought, maybe it's not a good thing.
Oh, yeah, no, it was. I don't want to say it was a good thing.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt the Eagles when Brock Purdy came back in. He couldn't throw the football.
Right. There were some guys. I thought some guys, and you're right. Both of those.
Also, a power move from Ndamukong Suh after the game. He leaves the field immediately. Does not celebrate. Leaves the field. He comes back out. I'm assuming he went and got a quick shower when no one was in the locker room, was completely dressed, resumed celebrating with his teammates. That was a veteran move.
That's a veteran move.
Getting those showers, no one's in there.
I thought Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was all over the field. Kaiser White continued his late season renaissance.
Yeah. They were looking at Kaiser early.
Yeah.
They were trying to hit him. I thought he played better later in that game.
Yeah. Who else? I thought Hargrave was really active.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably Sue's best game.
Yeah,
since he's been
I agree.
here.
Fletcher left for a little bit, but came back in the game. Fletcher, what's funny? I don't think we give Fletcher enough credit for playing through stuff. Like we always talk about, Kelsey's playing through all these. Fletcher Cox has played through injuries his entire career here, and he probably doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, that's fair. Who else? I thought Sweaty had a good game. Playing one of the best tackles in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any sacks, but I thought he was active. Had a tackle for loss. Had a quarterback hit. Yeah,
it's good defense.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if I've ever seen an Eagles defense that it just doesn't have a weak area. I mean, when Kaiser and there was a point where I just thought Kaiser was just really struggling and. He's really put it together. I don't know what it is, but he's playing a lot better. And when this defense, is it going to be a great matchup in the Super Bowl? But they're going to face one of the best quarterbacks ever. But man, I like this defense. They just pressure so relentlessly.
And early in that game, there was the one play where it was actually on what we thought it was not. We thought it was an incompletion at first. TJ doesn't make that grab. You're going, oh man.
Oh yeah.
You got to make those plays.
Yeah. I had one last thought on the defense, and it slipped my mind. Oh, they've look. Granted, it was Daniel Jones and Josh Johnson and an injured Brock Purdy. They haven't allowed a completion of 20 yards to a wide receiver this postseason, and they've only allowed 200 net, less than 200 net passing yards. Niners had 164 yards today. Obviously, all the stats kind of come with an asterisk because of the nature of the game, but the Niners weren't going to win this game with a healthy Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, this was the Eagles game. They weren't going to lose it. Like Chris Long said about that 17 game, anyone could have gotten it.
Yeah.
It felt that way.
Yeah. It's the Nissan Thrill of the Drive event, so gift yourself what you really want this holiday season and shop your local Nissan store or visit nissanusa.com today. Just like the holidays, these offers won't last.
Opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanize the disease of addiction. Download the new Season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. Rube, I was about to tell everyone to get those dog masks out of the closet. Crazy movement on this line since I looked at it, a half hour ago.
Okay.
On PointsBet, Eagles opened up as 2.5-point underdogs. It then moved from 2.5 to 2 to 1.5 to 1. Now it's moved all the way. The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites.
Wow. How about that?
Quick movement.
Yeah.
And I think that's right. They should be the favorites in this game. They're the more well-rounded team.
I would agree with that. I mean, the Chiefs are really good. They're well coached. They have weapons on offense, but I think they are the better team. I'm just going to look up something real quick while you're.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Chiefs are also coming off a pretty tough game. Mahomes is clearly more hindered by his injury than Jalen Hurts.
I'm really curious how much Jalen Hurts is hindered.
I guess it's tough to get a read because he didn't need to do it.
Right.
Right. But you watch Mahomes, he's limping after every play. Now, with 2 weeks of rest, I'm sure that'll help.
I mean, that's the number 16 defense that they're going to face. If Jalen is 85%, they're going to score 30 on him. They're going to score 30 on him.
And they might need to. But
if Mahomes isn't healthy, I don't know. They're not the same team. We'll see. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That's just the early line. I'm curious to see what it does over the next couple of weeks. We got a long time here before they play a game.
Yeah.
Do you agree that the Eagles should be favored?
Oh, yeah, I do. I was
surprised to see when they were.
And I wonder how much they know.
Plus 2.5.
Vegas knows they know how badly each quarterback's hurt too. Mm-hmm. They know more. They know before anyone knows.
Sure.
So that could be part of that equation as well.
It's time to get your swagger back with PointsBet Sportsbook. PointsBet, your move. Rube, Jonathan Gannon, he's staying.
He's staying.
You can be upset after watching his defense give up 14 points. And
fire Gannon.
He's a good DC, and I get that there are certain times throughout his time here that you don't like the style of play, but this is a good defense, and he's a good coordinator, and the Eagles are lucky that he's going to stay. And we say that because D'Amico Ryans is getting that Texans job.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I think we'll probably announce that in the next couple of days. It's great. You want as much continuity as you can have. I think there's a really good chance they'll lose our offensive coordinator. You don't want to lose both. You don't want to lose any, but when you have success like this, people are going to look for your coaches and try to get them promotions. And so we'll see who else they lose. But Gannon it's huge. And look, they're going to have a very different defense next year. As so many of these guys are on 1-year deals or their contracts up at the end of the year. So it's going to be a challenging year for him, and he's not going to have a lot of consistency and continuity. I mean, there's a chance they might have 4 or 5 new starters.
Very possible.
Yeah. So it's going to be a challenging year, but I've just been really impressed with him. I like the way he calls a game, and when he makes a mistake, he owns up to it. He's very accountable. Mm-hmm. He explains what he's thinking. He's very clear. He's a good communicator. Players like him. They're lucky to have him.
Yeah. Now we'll see if they lose Shane Steichen. He's going to get another interview with the Colts, according to ESPN. So to me, for a while, it's felt like the Colts are going to go to Jeff Saturday, but the fact that they're going to interview Steichen again means he's at least in the mix there.
Yeah.
But that's the last opportunity for him.
Right.
That we know of, at least, because the Panthers hired Frank Reich. Texans are going to hire D'Amico. So that's the last place he's interviewed, and he's getting a second interview there.
Right. And it'd be pretty ironic. I mean, because his relationship with Frank and
Nick, yeah.
And Nick and the Colts and everything. But I think he'll be a good head coach. He doesn't have some guys have bigger personalities, but I think he actually has a pretty big personality. He just hides it a lot. We've seen the other side of that.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be successful. You never know. Look, you never know how it's going to go for a head coach. So much goes into it, building a staff and all that. But
and we'll see if teams are going to be patient.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's got to find a quarterback. But I wish him well if it happens.
I got a chance to talk to Lane Johnson.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went well. So Lane, where you been? He was in a good mood after the game. Obviously, he made it through again. So apparently, Jay Glazer from Fox reported that he tore his adductor again. Lane said there was some confusion there. He said he doesn't think he tore it again last week, but he definitely stretched it. He told me on that first bull rush from Kayvon Thibodeau, which we kind of saw. We saw him look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he said, after that, he settled in. He said today he felt okay, in some pain. He's getting his shot up to play through. A little numbness as he plays through it. But
incredible.
He is now 2/3 of the way through what could go down as just an epic postseason run for any player ever.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I can't even fathom what he's doing. I can't even fathom the pain that he must be in. I think he's such a warrior, and he's, he talked before his first game about how if he's hurting the team, he's not going to do it, and he's not hurting the team.
No,
I don't know how he's playing as well as he is.
He's playing so well. I mean, he got out at the end of the game again. They got Gardner Minshew in there. They took Lane out a little earlier too, which, hey, makes sense. You're up big.
Yeah.
Put Driscoll out there. Try to let him rest up and get ready. Lane told me Cam Jordan was the guy that he kind of looked at because Cam Jordan played through the injury, and it gave him a little bit of confidence. Okay, someone's played through this before. I think he did talk to Cam about that. Actually, Cam Jordan saw the interview I did with him, and it seems like he's proud of the way Lane's played.
Cool.
It's impressive stuff.
Yeah,
it really is. And he mentioned he's doing this because he knows this team is special, and they had a chance to go on a run and win the whole thing. And he's not getting any younger. He's 32. He's playing with the three guys who are older than him, or the three guys who have been here longer than him. They very well could have all played their last home game as Eagles.
Yeah,
which is, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and Brendan Graham might never put on an Eagles uniform and play in the Link again.
Yeah,
it kind of just puts
Who's
it all
most likely to out of those
to
three?
play again.
Yeah,
BG
more than Kelsey.
I think so. Yeah, because BG's always talked about wanting to play 15 years.
Yeah.
Whereas Kelsey, especially if they win, I can't imagine that guy playing again.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, but that occurred to me at the end of the game. Man, I mean, those guys. I looked it up. They've played, those three guys and Selleck have played the most games at the Link because the player game finder now has a stadium tab. It makes it easy to look it up. But yeah, I have so much respect for Lane, and I think it must have helped that when he started this whole thing, it was there was 3 games, and it wasn't like playing the whole season or unlimited. We don't know how many games, maximum of 3 games, and now he's got 1 left. I think he can crank it up for 1 more.
Yeah, and you get an extra week of rest.
Yeah.
Just go out there and then play 1 more game, and you can walk away with the ring. I mean, you give him a ton of credit. Building was loud tonight. Fans, gosh, it was it was everything I thought it would be. It was crazy. It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, and seeing the players lean into it is always fun.
Yeah.
They're calling for noise
Right.
after the Eagles scored, and then they get on defense. I mean, that place was deafening.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Chauncey doing that
Mhm.
just about
all
every,
the time.
every drive.
And it was fun. All the fans waving goodbye to the 49ers after they were kind of getting dirty at the end of the game. I mean, Trent Williams, like,
what is that?
You'd body slam Kayvon Wallace?
Yeah.
Kayvon Wallace? You're going to body slam him? You're Trent Williams.
I know. He'll get suspended for.
But it was, it was like everyone waving goodbye. And I think they were singing like Hit the Road Jack or something like that. Or they were singing na 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 na. Hey, hey.
By Steam.
Yeah. Fun atmosphere. I'm trying to think what else from pregame. Oh, saw a bunch of former Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
Around. Doc was the honorary captain.
Yeah, we had Doc on our pregame show.
It's always good to see him. Probably give them 15 snaps in a pinch.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Who else was I saw Chris Long down there, Corey Clement, Jay Ajayi.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Deshaun.
Oh, yeah.
In the building. Yeah.
Good for him.
Good to see those guys.
Yeah.
It was a place to be.
I met Brian Young before the game.
Big dude.
Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
What a big dude. Nice man.
Yeah. Negativity corner. That one punt went into the end zone.
Yeah. He had a good game, though. I thought for the most part.
Bad game for the wire on the camera.
Oh, yeah?
The punt hit the wire.
Oh, it did?
Oh, it hit it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, it definitely hit the wire. They just couldn't prove it, so the Eagles were calling for it, but
I saw there was something going on, but
the referees said they couldn't they couldn't necessarily see that it hit the wire, but
it seemed like it knuckled up.
And then on the next punt, you should have seen how high the sky cam was up. It was as high as it could go.
That's funny. Negativity. A couple chances for interceptions.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I think TJ could have had one.
Certainly Landon Dickerson getting hurt.
Kind of had one.
I mean, it was a dart right at him.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ready for that.
No.
Sweaty has that, but not Hargrave.
Yeah. Slate kind of, he really wasn't able to get to the one that was over his head. But, yeah, we don't know anything about Dickerson. You don't have an update or anything?
No, I didn't get anything after. Didn't see him. Yeah. Didn't look good. He went right to the locker room.
Yeah.
Amazingly, Andre Dillard is going to be all right if they need him to play.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be an interesting story. He'll be popular in Arizona. Eagles go to the Super Bowl, Dave.
Yeah, we're going to Phoenix next Saturday. We'll have a few more pods this week. We're on the same flight, right? On the bye week, I think so.
We could do a pod on the flight. Just annoy everybody on the plane.
I can't image people would like that.
We're going to make an emergency landing at Topeka. So
take us off the plane.
There's some podcasters who are annoying everybody. But
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great week. It's going to be fun. This team feels special, and it felt special pretty early in this season.
And before we go, I mean, we talked about him a lot, but I've got to give props to Howie. Howie Roseman built 2 Super Bowl teams 5 years apart, 6 seasons apart, different quarterbacks, different coaches, and 47 different players. And really, two of those who are in common are specialists. And Greg Ward was on the practice squad then and now.
Just strange,
oddly. Yeah. But yeah, to look, there's. This team, Howie's one win from the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
He's one win.
He pulls this off?
Yeah.
Crazy.
To build a Super Bowl roster and then 5 years later build another one with a completely different set of tools is astonishing. And he's had help, but I mean, there was times where he probably should have been fired. He could have been fired. He was demoted. What a roller coaster career he's had. I mean, the fireman Danny and Marcus Smith and
executive of the year, Howie Roseman.
Executive of the year, yeah. But he's really changed a lot about the way he does his job, and he's gotten a lot better at it. And he's in that conversation with the great GMs.
Absolutely,
Ozzie Newsome's and Kevin Colbert's, and he's Ron Wolf. These guys, yeah.
He's an all-timer.
He is.
Yeah. Got anything else?
No.
All right. This pod didn't go super long. We're going to talk a lot about this game and the Super Bowl coming up and the next few pods. But For Reuben, I'm Dave. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. Fun times here in Philly. We'll talk to you soon.